No.
Slime doll.
Let's talk about 1984.
Yes.
Okay,
Let's
Riley.
do it. Where do we start? 1984, the novel of novels.
Oh, the novel.
George frickin' Orwell.
The god himself,
My man.
Eric Blair.
Oh yeah, because Orwell was a pseudonym for.
Yeah, it's a pen name.
Yeah, probably because the Brits were terrible.
Oh.
Okay, so
So,
let's talk some themes.
yeah, themes. What do you guys think
Power.
about the themes?
Power's always a theme.
Power?
Because so the party's goal is to hold ultimate power, but they were never at any point willing to relinquish it, even though it was mentioned at some point because there was a revolution before the establishment of the party, right? Like that was established.
Yeah, that they're the ones that came into power from the revolution, right?
Because that was implied to be just during the aftermath of World War II.
Yeah.
When, communism and fascism were still things.
Yeah, because Winston does remember a time when Big Brother wasn't in power.
Yeah. So it's implied heavily, almost directly stated, I believe, because there's a quote. It's those who gain power never have the intention to relinquish it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was said by O'Brien, right? During when he's
Winston's explaining
torture
to Winston, because Winston gets to ask any questions he wants.
And then he's one of my things that I wrote about, one of my metacognitives, is when Winston asks O'Brien if he ever was against the party, and he was like, "They got me long ago."
Yeah.
And then he did reading it, you can't tell if that means that he once was anti the party, and that he was
once in Winston's
he
place.
was that he was in Winston's place, and that he was beaten and conditioned to be a part of the party,
It's
and
possible.
then started working towards it, or if he was just trying to comfort Winston, or just go off what he's been doing and lie to him again. Because,
yeah.
Another point about power, Winston always talks about how the proles have the ability to overtake the party if they want to, because they're the majority.
If there's any
but
hope,
they
it
don't.
lies with the proles.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But they have the ability to, they just never act on it, because they're so oppressed.
It's because they don't know they have the ability. Yeah,
they literally don't understand it because the party doesn't let them understand it.
Yeah. That was another interesting thing, and one of the three branches of the party government thing, I guess. In one of the buildings, there was just a place where they pump out pop songs and consumable art, specifically to sedate the proles, to bait them into thinking oh, these are amazing things that get to happen in the world, so I don't have to do anything impressive with my life because other people are doing it for me. So that was an interesting. Another thing that because Orwell was very anti-propaganda. He talked about that because he used to work for the BBC propaganda sector during World War II.
I remember that.
And then I read a thing during the our Lit Crit groups, and it was Orwell saying all propaganda is lies, no matter who it's for or against.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lot of Facebook notifications
I
coming
know.
up. Sorry. So that was an important point in his life where he became persuading people to just agree with you because they should agree with you is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be factual support and reasons to
2
support
plus 2
you.
equals 5.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, that's
Where's
right.
the factual support?
Hey,
Whoever programs the calculators gets to say what 2 plus 2 equals, honestly.
that's true. That's actually kind of a cool metaphor, with the calculator.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, whatever the calculator says, that's
Who
it.
controls the past controls the future, and whoever controls the present controls the past, my dude.
Yes, that's right. That's what Winston does. He works in that record slice, and he burns stuff in that memory hole, so
He
party
loved
continues to control
Big Brother.
He did.
That's what I'm talking about today.
That's a quote.
I mean, it was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13.
13. It's April. It's
2
cold
plus
out.
2 plus 5.
It's 9.
No.
Okay. Another thing that when I was debating whether or not to take AP Lit with Keely, she was talking to me about some stuff in 1984. And I decided to take it after you convinced me. Just
Hey, guess who didn't decide to take AP Lit?
Okay. Anyways,
Anyway.
You're in AP Lit now.
Yeah, I know, but first semester.
She was talking to me about how this idea that there is not actually a war going on, and I talked about this in our class. I turned off
that makes
Facebook
sense.
notifications so they would stop popping up. But this idea that basically the party and Big Brother drop bombs on either other people or no one, but have them visibly be able to be seen from the people, so that once again they have a common enemy, but that they're not actually fighting against anyone. Because I don't think and I might be wrong, but anywhere in the book it actually says Winston ever sees anyone they're fighting against, as well as
No, exactly. Well, I mean, the war is like, I mean, that's always been my theory, is that like this war doesn't exist, and that it's just there to like divert the people's attention. You know, that they don't see Big Brother for what it is. They see
and
these
it's
other
kind of
people like, oh, they're worse.
in World War II, with like a lot of people in Germany didn't realize what was happening outside of Germany. That's kind of like, because like, you know,
because there was the totalitarian state going on,
and that's what this.
They were like controlling all the information.
Yeah, so this book talks a lot about obviously totalitarian governments.
Yeah, it alludes to a lot of the stuff that's going on in Europe.
Yeah. Another thing that was going on with like the whole war aspect was in Goldstein's book, which which
is it Goldstein or is it Goldstein?
I think it's Goldstein, just because it says that it's anyway
a Jewish name.
The etymology of the
Emmanuel,
name.
got it.
Emmanuel. But
did you know Emmanuel means God?
Yeah.
I learned that. But that's what it means. I don't know, thematically.
There's probably
Benny Emmanuel.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah. Well, that probably has a lot of symbolism with the whole he's a Jew.
Yeah.
And like they were the main people persecuted.
Yeah, it's true.
Whom, because he's described as explicitly Jewish. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Right. So in his book.
Yes, the book we're talking about.
No, in Goldstein's book in 1984.
No,
which was
division.
It wasn't like theories on
theories and practices.
But it was like talking about the book explicitly mentioned the war, which is an interesting point because the party wrote the book, and we find that out later. There was never actually.
Well, we don't know whether or not the party wrote the entire book. We just know that O'Brien wrote part of it.
Yeah. It was implied that the party wrote the whole book.
We can infer that the party made it up.
Yeah. So I always just assumed that there was actually a war going on in the sense that there's a war happening in like the book describes where they're fighting, but there's nothing to gain from the combat other than.
Well, see, my question is like, who's battling? Who are the?
It was the three super
soldiers.
states.
But like, who are the soldiers that are fighting? You know
because there is a vision of soldiers.
Yeah, but like
he does talk about that.
Like what?
Yeah.
Who's doing that? Like, how do you sign up to fight in these battles? You know what I mean? Like Winston.
I imagine it's probably one of the jobs, right?
Yeah,
like,
talks about
how Winston erases history. Like some people's jobs are to march.
Go down in combat.
But then if it's their job to go battle, then there must be a war going on.
Yeah, well, in theory, yes. So another thing that I thought.
To be fair, Orwell was in a bad state of mind when he was writing this book.
Literally was dying.
He was dying of tuberculosis. His wife died. He was pressured.
He wasn't on an island.
Yeah.
In a hospital room by himself.
Yeah,
or something?
he was pressured to finish the book in under a year. Or
yeah. So
like
in one of the literary criticisms I wrote or read.
You wrote it yourself. Good job.
It says I am reluctant to reduce the meaning of the fact that he was dying when he wrote the book. Having said that, it means clear that the child whose first word is blah blah blah. None of that's important. But she was just because this whole thing she kind of rips on Orwell and how he doesn't use the body how he describes the body in the book is not how the body would realistically react. She just talks about how he underestimates a lot of what the physical body actually can do. And she's just talking about how she's I don't mean to basically wreck on Orwell so hard. Because I know he was dying, but there's just a lot in here that should be talked about. And then there's another thing in here I want to bring up, but you can go ahead and say what you were going to say first.
I can't remember what I was going to say.
Okay, so another thing that she says in here is that it's about the 2 minutes hate.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, the 2 minutes hate that and I wrote about this as well in one of my metacognitives, kind of expanding on what she talks about. But basically that since it's the only pleasure really given to the people, it basically they create an unnatural release of ecstasy so that they don't try to find this pleasure somewhere else, like having sex. And so I just talked about how and then another one of the quotes that she used about that is civilization can be thrown aside like a garment when the body acts upon pure desire, that when they're trying and I wrote in my metacognitive like cavemen, that if a person truly is wanting to find this desire, that they will just toss away any sort of civilization to find that desire if they know that it exists. But people who are raised in this society, and again, that's something that happened in World War II with kids being brainwashed and just not knowing what was right or what was wrong. The people in this society were raised to believe that the only ecstasy and true rage you're supposed to feel is or really any emotion is
their catharsis.
is either for Big Brother, love, or against
East
during the
Asia.
times of pain.
Was it East Asia and Eurasia?
It was Eurasia, Oceania, and another
East
something.
Asia, wasn't it?
I'm not sure if it was East Asia. I'm just going to go out and say this. If there were actually like the three superpowers in a war, Oceania would hands down win because Oceania is the entirety of the Americas.
Right.
Yeah.
And also the Great British Isles.
That and I'll bet you those like three superpowers is also like what was it, the Yalta Conference? Is
Yalta,
like, yeah, like with the three superpowers like Russia, England, America.
Because like Eurasia is Europe and like the Greater Asia, so that's just basically like Russia, and then I think that they also had Africa. Okay. And then there was a third one that had absolutely nothing. It had like all of the Eastern Asian
I'm betting it's East Asia. I'll just say it right now.
I can't remember that. I remember Eurasia because that's an actual
term
that's used, and Oceania because that's an actual term that's used.
Another really interesting thing that's talked about in here. Riley and I were discussing it before you came over, Kai. There's this sentence in here that we really had trouble discerning what it meant.
Wait, what?
The sentence is, you can look at it with me because I think you want to look at the words as I say it. The power of the body to oppose the mind's will to resistance is stronger than the body's power to oppose the mind's will to submit.
Wait. Okay, so the power of the body to oppose the mind's will to resistance is stronger than the body's power to oppose the mind's will to submit.
Okay, so you said that you turned off Facebook notifications.
So the body is better able to oppose the will to resist stuff.
Oppose the will to resist, so submit.
No.
Oppose resisting would be submitting.
No. But oppose submitting. There's opposing resisting, and
yeah, it's the opposite though. That's why it's so confusing.
Wait.
Yeah, so it's saying that the body's power to submit is stronger than the body's power to resist.
Yeah. That's what we discussed. But like the wording of this sentence is like super.
It's as if it's intentionally like
it's
confusing.
Weird.
That it's like, gotta mess with your mind.
I was right. It's East Asia.
Okay.
I knew it.
Okay, yeah.
I freaking knew
it.
But
the three superpowers are described as like Oceania has like all of.
No, Oceania is humongous. It has all of the Americas, half of Africa and Australia, and then Eurasia is pretty much all of Europe and Asia, and then East Asia is a lot of like Asia, Middle East.
Oh, it's the green stuff, East Asia?
Yeah.
So, and what's the red stuff? Is the red stuff uninhabited?
The red stuff? The pink stuff is Oceania. Anyway.
No. Pull that back up because I wanted to see. No, because that's important stuff.
Yeah.
Wait, it was the middle bit because in Theories and Practices of Oligarchical Collectivism, it was talking about like an area of land that was constantly in dispute between the three superpowers.
Oh, it's probably that's
was that like was that the Middle East or was that the empire? Central Africa.
No,
it was talking about how it was a bunch of because it was talking about in the book how it was a bunch of like very poor areas that were constantly in the middle of. So is that what that is?
Well, I mean, maybe it might be in Antarctica.
Wait, doesn't it say
it's disputed?
The dotted line?
Disputed.
All right, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're disputing over Antarctica.
That whole area
because
right there.
I really want Antarctica. Penguin soldiers.
That would be terrifying.
Another thing that I was like reading it and I was like, whoa, that's like I never thought about that is that she says the only true eroticism, is that how you say that? Yeah. In this novel is the sadomasochistic eroticism of Winston's relationship to O'Brien.
That's true.
That was another thing that I saw.
He loves O'Brien deeply. That's
and then
dreams of O'Brien.
Yeah, but that
he never dreams of Julia.
The only like real like sexual scene, it talks about this again in here, that like the only real sexual scene is like the torture that Winston takes from O'Brien, and that it's like it's described very sexually.
Oh yeah,
and that it's just again like, talking about the body, and then like the human being is reduced to a quote bag of filth, and the spirit to nothing more than an illusion. So I just think that's
what is that called when like the person is in love with their kidnapper? What is that called?
I was going to say Parkinson's.
I almost said Lou Gehrig's.
Oh my god.
Stockholm
syndrome. It's kind of like Stockholm syndrome because he was like obviously he's like being imprisoned and tortured by this man, and then he decides to turn off all the pain. He's like, oh my gosh, you are the best.
Well, that's like that's basically isn't it? I gotta.
But it is sadomasochism.
That is Stockholm
kind of. You know, no, it's definitely sadomasochism. Isn't that like pain, but for sex?
Yeah, or I thought it was like liking pain.
Yeah, because
like psychological tendency or sexual practice characterized by both sadism and masochism.
So sadism is the joy of seeing others in pain, while masochism is feeling pain or feeling joy from your own pain.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right.
So like animators are masochists, basically. Anyway,
Gotcha.
art joke.
What else?
Technology. There's a whole lot of instances of like control using technology, like the telescreens.
Yeah, about how they're all over the place, always watching.
Yeah, and like the microphones that can always hear people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just to make sure that everybody's doing their jobs, everybody's not against Big Brother. You know, because that's important.
But also, like, technology is like it's a form of freedom, like being able to, because like. There's never mention of cars in 1984, except for the trucks used to bring the war prisoners that are war prisoners. That's how we know. Because there are actual prisoners of war.
We don't know because they're actors. You know what I mean? We don't know if that Big Brother guy's just an actor or if it's the real.
Or
Big
if
Brother.
it's a figment. Like I wrote that it was just a symbol. Like
yeah,
he's not a real person.
like Emmanuel Goldstein's video. We don't know if that's just an actor, if that's a real Emmanuel Goldstein. So there's always the illusion of like whether or not it's true or false. You know. But that's just me going crazy out there.
So the only vehicles that are ever mentioned in 1984 are militarized. There's the helicopters. Oh. There's the helicopters that the police use to look into people's windows, and those are mentioned on like the 5th page. Mm-hmm. And then there's the trucks that carry the war prisoners and that carry home the war heroes, who are really only the 2 people who come back. 2 kinds of people.
Yeah, interesting indeed. Yeah, but also because like technology is designed to like further society. You know, that we keep advancing in technology, that we keep advancing with life. You know, that our lives become better. But Orwell is showing that with technology, it can also become like like going down in, I don't know, like I'm not wording this correctly, but like that your life can become worse with technology and the abuse of technology and control.
Well, because like that's another interesting thing where like technology is it's the equivalent of power basically. Because like if you control
the past.
Well, because in a way, technology can be used to like literally represent the future. So like. A lot of things that are meant to be more like humanity has progressed, they often include like a single significant bit of technology that was discovered and then expanded upon.
Yeah.
It's never like, oh yeah, we spent like 85 years just like building more things. It's always we find one thing and that one thing makes everything better. So like in this, all of the technology that was discovered for the express purpose of controlling masses.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting indeed.
So let's talk about power. Oh, we
opened with power.
Let's talk about sex.
Baby. Let's talk about anyways.
No, like
I already did.
So Winston's marriage with Catherine was a failed marriage because Catherine was a dedicated party member, right? Catherine was a dedicated party member and did not have sex with Winston for pleasure. She had sex with him so that they could have kids. It was her duty as a woman. It was her duty as a woman to have sex with him and to produce children for the party. However, they couldn't. And didn't Winston have a moment where he wanted to kill Catherine?
Yeah, so they were on a hike, and then
they were like on a cliffside, right?
A nature hike for the party for your betterment.
And
they stopped, like they left the group, and it was just them, and she was like standing at a cliff,
and he was just thinking like I could totally push her off.
Like, no one would question it.
Here's a quote about sex.
What?
Winston says when he sees Julia, I wanted to rape her and murder her afterwards.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Dude, that's some seriously suppressed, like, sexual desire. Intense. That's like Lord of the Flies stuff.
How he was like, couldn't he not have kids?
That was the part of the deal with Catherine, was that they couldn't have kids. It just wasn't working.
So they wouldn't have sex. So he was like, frick.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Well, no, and it even said that he derived absolutely no pleasure from having sex.
Yeah, because she was just a robot.
Yeah.
Thing. You know, she was just performing the motions. You know.
Right.
Yeah, and it's but with Julia, like she's a party member that acts in like these abstinence groups.
The no sex part. What is it?
The anti-sex league.
The anti-sex league, and she wears like that red
the sash,
and like that's why he wants her so bad.
Because like it said that like accentuates her feminine features. Yeah. Because it's like, you can see her hips and the curve of her body.
That's ironic. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like one of the. I'm gonna look up the definition of the word Juilliard real fast.
Juilliard, like this Juilliard School of Music.
Yes, because Juilliard's an art school, right?
Right.
And the one thing that the party suppresses the most is art. and Julia is super suppressed as a person.
Juilliard.
So I just wanted to see if there was any connection there.
I don't know about that.
Like
that
flowers for Algernon,
that seems really
which
fun.
we'll talk about next in 28 seconds.
Are we?
Next time.
Whoa, yeah, the video's almost over. Wow.
Oh, I'm gonna miss it.
Like, comment, subscribe.
I honestly was like, oh, I hope you watched all of these.
I hope you just skipped through like 3 parts. Just like.
And I hope they were all the parts where you were just laughing.
Click. Done. It's good enough.
Yeah, I'm not finding the definition of Juilliard.
You know what?
Isn't julienning like where you cut things really thin?
I don't know.
Isn't like Giuliani like a senator or like mayor?
Called Giovanni?
Giamatti?
Giorgio Armani? The brand.
Enough of that. Turn this
Okay.
off.
Next time.